Oh, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a special Valentine's Day Smoke Fest edition of Lockdown 23 and 1. That's right, a smoked out Valentine's Day edition is coming your way today. And for anybody that doesn't know, I like to refresh people that might be new. Being smoked out on this channel means getting a lot of time in prison. And like I said, it's a Valentine's Day special, so that means it's going to be lovers being sentenced for the murder of their significant other, or the partners working together to kill someone else. One thing's for sure on this earth is love has no bounds. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is absolutely where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my beautifully assorted playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Alright, first up on this beautiful Valentine's Day, all the lovers, listen up. If for some reason your significant other wakes up and doesn't want you no more, don't be flying down there to take their life. Or their new significant other. Like this lady, Miss Thompson. She flew from New York to Florida to kill her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. She was convicted in the 2022 stabbing death of Kayla Hodgson. Man, just imagine how mad she was to buy a ticket and go all the way down there to do something like that. But now it's time for us to witness Miss Thompson get sentenced for her diabolical crimes.
It's interesting that I note that the defendant was in the beauty business, and the beauty business is what led the police to the defendant to the DNA sample that was found underneath the fingernail of the victim. With that, I also understand I have no discretion whatsoever, nor would I want any discretion whatsoever with regard to this particular case. I do believe the defendant needs to go to prison. I do believe the defendant's, in this particular situation's crime was heinous in the way she tracked down, located, showed up, and then killed Ms. Thompson. With that, the court does sentence Ms. Thompson to adjudicator guilty sentence to life in prison. And for this criminal punishment code, that's what
not a good Valentine's Day for her. Well, of course it didn't happen on Valentine's Day, but alright, Bobby, lighten it up.
We can order a restitution
order reserve restitution. The outstanding court costs will be a civil lien.
Alright, give her another little sniff.
With that,
For those of y'all that didn't hear, because that microphone had the judge sounding like he was mumbling a bit, but I did hear him say that she got that whole L note. Life jank, man. She ain't never gonna be seeing them streets again, or any kind of professional cosmetic tree. Is that, or what is, hairdresser? Either one of them, actually, unless she finds one of them locked up in prison with her. Now for the next one, this is definitely a lover's story, but in a different way than the first one. It says an 18-year-old co-defendant charged and convicted in connection with the death of a 61-year-old woman in Baycliff has been sentenced for his role, according to the Galveston County Sheriff's Office. A jury found Uriah Urick guilty of capital murder. Back in February, a woman, Tammy King, was found shot to death inside her home in the 4700 block of 15th Street after a concerned neighbor said no one had heard from her. Officials determined that the woman's granddaughter, 17-year-old Tara King, and her boyfriend, Urick, were initially named as persons of interest before being upgraded to suspects. Tara was a student at Dixon High School and was being raised by her grandmother, officials said. According to the investigators, Tara, the granddaughter, was upset that Tammy did not allow Urick to spend the night, possibly leading to the shooting. So the first one, the lover was get revenge on an ex. This one's more along the lines of a Bonnie and Clyde situation. They killed someone together. And you know what that means, right? They're gonna spend every Valentine's Day they have for the rest of their natural born life, if I were to guess, in that shadow realm of earth called prison. And also, if I were to guess, homeboys probably can be taken advantage of day in and day out, just by judging a book by its cover. And not to mention filthy paperwork, killing an elderly woman? Yeah, I'm sure I'll be reading an article later on down the road of this guy getting poked up from here to Kingdom Come in the cell block. But let's find out what the honorable judge has in store for this monster. Alright, here we go. And man, this dude's looking kind of pathetic. Black button-ups are never good to wear in court. That's like pretty much putting on an outfit to your own funeral. Here we go.
So I'm going to ask you to please stand.
Just sit down, Your Honor.
So, Mr. York, you came before this court and a jury and entered a plea of not guilty to the offense of capital murder. The evidence was presented to the jury. A jury was charged, and after deliberating, the jury returned a verdict finding you guilty of the offense of capital murder, and whose punishment is assessed at life in prison, that you be delivered to the sheriff of the Galveston County Jail, who will then place you with the director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institution Division, where you'll be confined for the rest of your life in accordance with the laws governing the Department of Criminal Justice Institution. So you are now remanded to the custody of the Galveston County Sheriff, who will remand you to the custody of Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
Imagine getting life at a young age like this.
Given to you. It appears that you have...
When you're like 60 and get life, it's not a big deal. You ain't got too many years in it, right? But like 19, 20, man, you got a full clip to do. This guy ain't gonna know nothing but prison by the time he dies. Definitely ain't catching no GTA 6, PS7, none of that. But this is what happens when you help kill someone's grandmother. You know, go ahead and follow the smoke cloud straight to the rack. Next up, unfortunately, we got a husband that killed his wife. It says here that a Massachusetts man was convicted of murdering his wife in 2023 and dismembering her body. Wow, I didn't know that. Brian Walsh, 50, was found guilty of first-degree murder nearly 3 years after his wife, Anna Walsh, disappeared on New Year's Day. She was last seen at her home in Massachusetts. Prosecutors say that after the murder, partly motivated by financial gain, Walsh methodically cut up his wife's body and disposed of it in dumpsters. He conducted more than a dozen Google searches during his cover-up, including 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. Homeboy's gonna be following the last two if I were to guess. Oh no, Janks.
Although I consider the letter of Diana Walsh, I simply cannot reconcile the person Diana Walsh describes in her letter with the person who stands before me for sentence. Mr. Walsh, you can stand. Mr. Walsh, you will live with the guilt and burden of Anna Walsh's death for the rest of your life. As to count 1, the jury having convicted you of murder in the first degree, I sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As to indictment 2, lying to the police in connection with the investigation of a life felony, I sentence you to no less than 19 years, no more than 20 years, the statutory maximum, in prison, to be served consecutive to the life sentence in 001. The legislature caps the maximum sentence for the improper disposal of a body at 3 years in state prison. As to indictment 003, the improper disposal of the body of your wife, Anna Walsh, I sentence you to no less than 2 years, 364 days, and no more than 3 years in state prison to run consecutive to the sentences in 001 and 002.
Life plus 19 plus 2. I believe that's 23 years and 1 life. Wow, picture it working out like that. Homeboy got smoked out in that Vladimir vampire suit. Damn, bro, not looking good. He reminds me of a guy that I was locked up with that had murder for hire, trying to kill his wife as well. Same exact hairdo, nose, just a little skinnier than the guy that I seen. But look, that guy was filthy rich. He always had coffee in the cell block. No one cared that he tried to kill his old lady. They're always just trying to go get some of his money because they knew he was a millionaire. Believe it or not, no one was even extorting him either. He was a pretty cool guy. But if I were to guess, once he got to prison, it became a much different story. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully these clips didn't ruin your Valentine's Day. As a matter of fact, hopefully it helps you realize that anything in a relationship's possible. Because love always goes hand to hand, most of the time, with jealousy and rage. And the people that can't control that type of stuff, man, they end up going to prison. Sometimes for a few years, or like the people today, the rest of their damn life. Never will they get a taste of the street life again unless they get in contact with the contraband man. The Morgan Freeman of the prison. What was his name? Damn. Red, that's what his name was in the old Shawshank. But like I said, I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new and enjoyed, as always, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave. And more importantly than anything, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free.